Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
This first product is one that is so hot right now that Expansys, which I buy a lot of my unlocked phones from, is scalping it for $200 above list price.
That's crazy. Although
you can't get it. You got to get an invite.
A, you can't get it, and B, the device is actually really good.
This is
so if it was to come out at that cost, people probably would have spent that money on it.
They're charging $500. It's $300 for the 16 gigabyte version.
Right.
We're talking about the One Plus One.
We previewed it last week, so yes, it is back. But I spent a whole week with it, so I knew things to talk about.
You're right. For a high-end smartphone, $500 is even affordable.
Yeah, it really is.
Which
I mean, we're
shows you
used to seeing like $650 for an unlocked high-end smartphone.
So tell us about this One Plus One. It looks like it's big.
Yeah, it's definitely big. It's a 5.5-inch display, 1080p display, super sharp. I was actually super happy with the quality of the display and just using it over time. It has really nice kind of brightness and sunlight, all that kind of stuff. It's a non-removable 3,100 milliamp hour battery.
Oh, that's pretty big.
Back here somewhere that you can't get to, of course. But 3,100's ample, and I gotta say, man, the battery performance on here was great. Minus a few issues, which I'll talk about in a few minutes, but it has a 13 megapixel rear-facing camera that takes some pretty great pictures, although, you know, the standard kind of, there we go. Hey, Brian, you found it.
A brick wall.
So, yeah, so
that's
brick wall.
That's out back. That's our alley out back.
That's out back, but if you zoom in, it's got great detail, though, probably on here, you know, again.
Oh, look at that.
Nice
that
detail
really
in the
looks
water.
good. Yeah.
Looks really sharp in bright sunlight. What else do we have here? So this was really low light, and actually I really liked the effect that it made. It was early in the morning before the sun was just kind of starting to kind of, you know, brighten up the sky and everything, yet really sharp kind of detail on my youngest daughter. This was last night. Okay, this is rear-facing camera with super low light at nighttime.
Are you using the flash? No.
No, this is no flash. I think the next one has the flash.
It has those dual LED
and I'm frowning
flashes.
at both for some reason.
Now everybody wants these because it balances the white balance. And the white balance does look good.
Yeah, it looks all right. I'm not a huge fan of
That's very
flash.
grainy.
This
What's
is
that?
front-facing camera. Front-facing camera, no alterations. Still, it brightened it up. I had hardly any light on in that room. This is without HDR.
Boy, that looks
and
good.
then the next one is with. So you see a little bit of that extra. Although I gotta say, I took a lot of pictures with HDR, and it almost does too much of the effect.
It's extreme. It's more than a lot of cameras.
Yeah, you really, the more you use it, the more you recognize how much processing is there. This is just your token awe photo.
That's the best looking family ever. Look at them.
I agree. I totally agree. And then I think this was a video. Yeah, so this is kind of video quality.
A little bit of the rubber CMOS rolling shutter.
Yeah, when you're kind of moving
I gotta
around.
say,
but quality's pretty sharp.
Well, this is good enough to be your family camera, isn't it?
Yeah. No, I was really happy with the performance of the camera.
How's the sound? Sounds pretty good too.
Yep, sounds great. Good stereo separation too when you're listening to it in headphones. She was trying to eat the peanut with the shell. I was trying to tell her, no, you can't do that. I can, but you can't. So yeah, so I was pretty happy with the camera. Let's see here, what else? It is unlocked. And
we were wondering about that. So you found out it comes. The biggest thing is it's CyanogenMod as the firmware. Without unlocking it, just the way it is.
That's right. CyanogenMod 11S, which is a special version of CyanogenMod, which means you get a lot of customization. If I go into the settings here and kind of show you, there's this whole personalization section down here. You know, CyanogenMod's home screen is Trebuchet, or Trebuchet, however you want to say that. So that allows you to do a lot of different things like hide the icon labels.
I like that.
Or show them however you want, the search bar, all that kind of stuff. You can go in there and do that.
You know what I like, though? Despite the fact that they've got a lot of additional customizations, it still looks like a plain Google Android phone.
And that's, I think, one of the big positives of this, right? This is kind of the best of both worlds. So often we're used to seeing a modified version of Android that looks nothing like Android. This really does operate and perform like stock Android. It's like Android Plus. It's Android with some bells and whistles that are actually very useful. Similar in some ways to the Moto X, right? One thing I think I showed briefly last week is that it has certain screen off things. So like I did a V.
Oh, wow.
And that
turns
on the flashlight, which is great. It's also, you got to be careful with it. Many, many times I would pull the phone out of my pocket and the flashlight was on.
Oh, that's not good.
Or like last night when I was writing up this review, no
Yeah.
joke, this happened at like 12 o'clock at night, getting ready to go to bed, and suddenly this band, Tree People, loud guitar rock band, starts playing in my pocket as loud as the phone is, and everybody's asleep, and I'm scrambling to turn it off because it just fired off in my pocket. So, you know, you can turn that off, thankfully, but when that happened and I didn't catch it, it hurt the battery.
Can you turn off the gestures entirely? Is
Yes.
that what's going on? The
Yes.
gestures are waking it up.
Exactly.
Because it's a double tap to wake up.
That, and you can actually turn them all off independently. So you can select which ones you want, which ones you don't. So personally, I would probably turn them all off except the double tap to turn on.
But see, it's
Because at
interesting.
least that times out, you know what I mean?
My HTC One also has the double
Yeah.
tap to turn on, and I always find it's on in my pocket when I don't expect it. So that's a good thing. I might turn that off.
So yeah, you
I mean,
gotta
it's handy.
be careful. It is very handy, but you just got to be careful with it. For some reason, it was just firing off all the time.
Yeah.
You know, performance-wise, this is running the latest, the Snapdragon 801 processor, 2.5 gigahertz quad-core CPU. It's the same as the S5, Galaxy S5, and you know, everything's super snappy and fluid. I mean, there's just no question that this is high performance. 3 gigs of RAM, so you're not running out of you know, any RAM underneath the hood. You're going to get everything that you throw at this thing.
Seems pretty good. Are there any negatives?
Well, let's see here. So design-wise, one thing I find a little strange, so you've got the on-screen buttons down here, right? If I go to the buttons mode and then I turn that on, you'll see down here, you can hardly see it, but down there are capacitive buttons, and when they light up, I mean, even in real life, you can hardly see them. You can't even see them.
I can't see them at all.
No, I know. And
That's full light?
This is full light. This is as bright as they ever get. And the order is different. So it's really kind of backwards. It's like you have the option, which is nice, of capacitive versus on-screen, but they're backwards, and if you do use the capacitive, you can hardly ever see them anyways.
Backwards,
So-
you mean that the leftmost one is recent apps?
Yeah,
The center one is home, and the right one?
No, the leftmost one is menu, even.
Okay.
The rightmost one is back, and the center
That's
one is home.
Samsung style, and it drives
Yeah,
me
it's
nuts.
very, very weird.
Yeah, but you don't have to use that, so that's the good news.
You don't. No, you don't have to use that. Of course, you can turn that off, which is what I did, and I don't mind sacrificing a little screen real estate.
Yeah, that's how
for
it's,
that.
that's the Android way.
Yeah, I mean, you know, to be quite honest, the cons, there are very few. The invite process, I would say, is probably one of the biggest, right?
Yeah, we still can't figure that out. It's obviously good marketing, but it's really severely limiting
And
the
I
ability
wonder
to buy this.
I wonder at what point, if any point, they lift this and just say, all right, it's available to everyone, because it's already been a couple of months, and there is no indication on their site, if you go to their site, as far as like, if I want to buy, what is my option? Your option really is to play a contest or know someone that has one. And that's really it.
That's it.
So, you know, it's very limiting. Everybody wants top quality hardware, low price, but you have to kind of like know somebody or get really lucky to get it. And that's just kind of, nobody likes that.
That's how we got it. We should thank.
Absolutely. Casey Mills is the gentleman who reached out to us and said, hey, I have one. It's unopened. If you would like it, it's yours. So we paid him for that. So thank you, Casey.
I'm sure you tried to get an invite. I've asked for an invite.
yeah.
All of us have tried to get
We're
invites.
scouring.
Nobody could get one.
Now they're kind of releasing a little bit more. I feel like since we got this, I've had a few more people. In fact, I gave out one on Twitter because someone hit me up on Twitter and said, expires in 3 hours and I have no one for it. What can you do? And I just put the call out and whatever. So
at $300 for 16 gigs,
$350 for 64 gigs.
For 64
That's what you do. If you get this, get the
spend
64
the money.
gig. Yeah.
$350. It's such a good deal.
Yeah.
If this were widely available, it seems to me this would be our standard recommendation.
I mean, it's right at the top, right? Of all the kind of top of the line devices right now running Android, this is probably in your top 3.
So
Absolutely.
I'm guessing
No
a
question.
buy.
Definitely a buy. I'd say pros, bang for your buck. The performance, the CyanogenMod is really more like stock plus stock on steroids of Android. And then the cons, like I said, they were kind of hard to come by, or come up with. But the invite process is just kind of lame. The gesture shortcuts, you just got to be kind of careful with those. And the size, it's large. It's not for everybody. Not everybody's going to feel comfortable with a 5.5-inch phone.